Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director, we're lucky to have you. Thank you for the sacrifice you make in doing what you do. I'm glad you're on the wall. I'd like to go back and clear up just to make sure I understood the testimony today as well. I applaud the FBI for being the first to call this an act of terrorism.
Thank you.
Not that I want it to be an act of terrorism, of course, but you guys looked at the facts and said the American public needs to know the facts. Thank you for that. But I'm a little confused. An act of terrorism, I haven't heard today it connected directly to ISIS. Are you, at this point, I know in this environment you may not be able to talk about that, and if not, that's fine. Can you talk about that? Do we have evidence that this was directly connected to ISIS influence in the U.S.?
There is some indication that they were at least in part inspired by ISIL. So yes, we're trying to sort out, though, what other contributions might there have been to their motivation, and we may never fully sort it out because human motivation is hard, but at least in part we see an ISIL inspiration. So,
and you may not want to comment on this either. I apologize for asking these direct questions, but in the past, just for the American people and for Congress, the FBI has been a stalwart in helping to protect the American people over time. In the past, on your watch, are you aware of planned attempts that have actually been preempted by the FBI that we may never know about?
Yes, many.
Okay, thank you. In speaking to the increase in the latest spate of ISIS attacks, is their planning getting better? Are their tactics getting better? Are their networks expanding? I know that the Malik and Farouk team bought their weapons through a neighbor. My question is there a network issue here, and are the networks growing in the U.S.?
We're looking at, obviously, in San Bernardino to see was there anybody else involved in assisting them. And so separate from San Bernardino, we have not seen this. We have not seen ISIL cells or networks in the United States. So far as we can tell, they have not succeeded in penetrating our borders with their operatives. That's an aspiration of theirs. We got to worry about it all day, every day. But instead what they're doing is motivating individuals or very, very small groups of people to commit murder on their behalf. That's the crowdsourcing phenomenon we've been dealing with.
Well, thank you. Can you confirm that ISIS adherents have attempted to gain access through the refugee resettlement program? Do we actually have cases where through the resettlement, I think there are 2,200 people or so that have come in so far. We're trying to bring another 10,000 in the first phase of this. Have we actually had cases where we identified ISIS adherents in that first group?
Not to my knowledge.
Are you aware that Canada is increasing their Syrian refugee acceptance rate from less than 5,000 over 25,000, the latest number I saw? And with the border that we have with Canada, we don't talk about that border much. Is the FBI aware of that? Are they paying attention to that relative to what we need to do? To me, that vetting in Canada is just as important as our own vetting here with our K-1 and our visa waiver program.
Yeah. And they get that. The head of the RCMP is a friend and colleague of mine. He called me to tell me that their government had made that decision and to explain and to encourage us to work together to vet those people.
And what changes would you like to see in the K-1? I know with Farouk, Malik, was she actually given an interview in the K-1 process? Do we know that?
I don't know well enough to say at this point.
Okay.
I know the process requires it. We're still trying to fully understand exactly all of her contacts.
Are there changes you'd like to see, the FBI would like to see in the K-1 program or in the visa waiver program?
I don't know enough yet to say as a result of this case.
Okay. And the last thing, very quickly, in the Trans-Pacific Partnership, there is language in there that would prevent national laws being implemented in countries that would require manufacturers to provide access to products encryption technologies. Some critics think that would limit our own ability to provide legislation that would give you a solution to the potential go dark solution. Does the FBI have a point of view on that yet?
We don't.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Director.
Senator Bowman.